I'm Jenny Blackwood, a small-town mom of four who refused to settle for a life that didn't light me up. When everything felt uncertain, I didn't run back to a 9-to-5. I bet on myself. I took a simple idea and turned it into an almost seven-figure business my first year, all while being a mom first. Now I'm here to help you trust your own power, chase the dream that keeps tapping your shoulder, and build a life that feels like you. This is Girl, Why Not You? Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another great episode of Girl, Why Not You? I am your host, Jenny Blackwood, and today's conversation, y'all, it's the one I wish someone had handed me a decade ago. Because here's the truth. Most of us were raised to believe that if we just understood money better, we'd be fine, right? Read the book, take the course, watch the YouTube guy with the whiteboard. And somewhere along the way, a quiet little story got planted in us that we're not capable, not confident, not money people. Today's guest is here to flip that table. Her name is Hayley Dickson. She's a certified financial planner, the CEO and founder of Rippl Wealth Management, and she's built a modern, values-driven firm specifically for women who are doing something brand new in their family line, building real wealth. And what she's about to say about why women actually feel stuck with money, it's not what you think. Hayley, welcome to the show. I am so glad that you're here.
Thank you, Jenny. I am so thrilled to be here. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's do this. This is a topic that I think we are all going to massively benefit from. And for all of you who are not seeing this on YouTube, I was just complimenting Hayley. She has the cutest hair. And I'm jealous.
Thank you.
Now I want to immediately go to the hair person, chop mine off, and look like Hayley. But let's jump into what really matters to everybody. So before we get into the work that you're doing now, right? Before we get into Rippl, which I'm so excited about, and before we get into the bigger conversation about women and wealth, I just really want to take the listeners back a bit, okay? Because I don't think you just woke up one day and decided, I'm going to be a CFP and start a firm.
Correct.
There's got to be a thread that started that a long time ago. So take us back to little Hayley. What was your relationship with money growing up? And how did that quietly shape what you believed was possible for you?
Yeah, great question. So thank you so much for having me, Jenny. I love what you do, and I love the vibe and the energy. And, I want to make money fun and sexy and adventurous. Yes. And, that's why I exist, and that's my why, and that's my purpose. So, as I shared with you earlier, my mother was married, divorced 4 times. So by the time I turned 23, the fourth divorce was over. And so my life growing up, was very much of a roller coaster. My mom was born in 1945 in Texas, and she was taught, albeit, being an RN and things, but to go find a husband and that has money and, have them, contribute to her life and ensure that she can live in the way she wants to. And so as a little girl, I remember so young just saying, that is not going to be me. Thank you very much for that, lesson, Mom. I am going to go out there and build my own wealth and be independent and make the choices that I want and the way I want. And so, my relationship with money, growing up was very much from the very beginning. When I was 5 years old, my mom couldn't find me one day and I was outside on the street. I had dug up rocks, like dirty rocks, and I was screaming at cars saying, rocks for sale. And by the time she found me, I had a check for $1 for the prettiest rock in the memo. And so for me, like from a young new little girl, it was, I'm going to hustle and it's going to be mine and I'm going to impact the world through the lens of earning income.
That is so cute. I can picture you out there. Rocks for sale, people. I got something you want. Good for you. I mean, right? You already were having, it's kind of, how old were you at that time? 5? 5 years old. Yeah. It's crazy to think that you looked at Mom, and I'm sure she's a lovely woman, but you didn't like what you were seeing. You didn't want to have that be your trajectory in your life. So you're like, how am I not going to have to depend on a man? Ooh, that feels good, right? Ooh. Nobody wants to be dependent on no man, okay? Although no. I'll say, like, I don't know.
I love my husband. He's amazing. I depend on him for many things. Right. Many things, but not money.
Yeah, not money. It feels very good to generate your own money, but yes, we want the husbands. We don't want to need the husbands because we're financially handicapped by the husbands. So I totally get that. I feel like so many women carry a money story that they didn't even know they were carrying until like adulthood, and obviously that was your money story, right? Since you work primarily with women, right, on the financial side of things, what are some things that you see as being other people's money stories that are like very common?
Absolutely. I mean, it's so extraordinary because I work with really sophisticated, educated, well-traveled, women, have great jobs. They went to great colleges, but it's fascinating because there is this kind of covert epidemic around, I think everybody else has it figured out and it's just me. And I have thousands of these conversations, chemistry conversations a year. And there are patterns that I see. So number one is like, I'm just not good with numbers. Therefore, I don't even know where to start, who to trust. A lot of my clients didn't grow up with trust funds. They have built, this path themselves. And so, I think one of the core things that we do is demystify some of the complexity around this. Like, you hear stocks, bonds, large cap, mid cap, this ETF, and you're like, that's not me. I'm telling you, this stuff is quite simple.
Right.
It really is. And so, I think that limiting belief of I'm not a numbers person and, I don't understand this stuff then creates procrastination, overwhelm, stagnation. It's like that's a big part of it. I also think that, there's a lot of women in my world that are in finance, that are managing P&Ls, that are business owners, and they have their business, figured out, but their personal, side of it, lacks. And so just having that like courage and curiosity and to be in a partnership where you feel safe and secure, where you can say, I don't really know what to do next, but, I'm in it and I'm ready to really elevate, my financial world. So.
Yeah, I could totally see that. And I think you're right. It's like, it makes me angry thinking back to like when we're in high school and when we're in school and even when we're in college, like we were not set up for success to have everyday life. The shit that we learned and we spent all this time having to memorize, get good grades, whatever, is stuff you will never ever use, right? Yeah. For the most part. And so it's like, why are we not learning these things to set us up for success? It's hard too when you're somebody who maybe, like you said, you're not a trust fund baby. You haven't always had money. Then now you're in a position where you have money and you don't know what to do with it. And you get the ultimate analysis paralysis because like you just said, you're like, where do I want to put this somewhere, but there seems like there's too many options, right? And so if you don't have somebody to guide you, what do? You either spend it or you leave it in the wrong type of account where it's not working for you. And that is like so sad, right? Because guess what, guys? Hayley's going to be able to tell you your dollars can work for you. You just have to know how to do that. Mm-hmm. So here's the thing. Walk us through the moment when something actually clicked for you, right? So when you realized this was the work you were meant to do, what changed?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Thanks for asking that. I spent a decade in the entertainment world and I was this fancy ass, excuse me, you said shit first.
Yeah, there's nothing off the table here.
SVP in Hollywood and had the corner office and went to Cannes and London, did all that stuff.
Ooh.
But I there was just in me, there was like, I'm meant to do something bigger, have a bigger impact. And I knew that my skills were transferable, but I had no idea how or why or where. And long story short, I had dinner with my financial advisor. I thought we were going to be going over our plan. And he said, you'd be really great at this. And I said, oh my gosh. And I started to think about it. And it was this intuitive hit that I think I would be really good at this. And I dove in head first. And I think my click moment was about 8 months into my career. Just to share, it was the most humbling experience of my life because I went from this very important person with a high budget and people were turning my phone calls right away to gum on a shoe, financial advisors, 17 on every corner, whatnot. Right. But I realized so quickly, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm surrounded by, no offense, but a bunch of middle-aged white dudes that are bro finance talking, mansplaining, that don't have nurture, in them like women do, and that there's such a need. And I went immediately into, I want to work with women, LGBTQ+, people of color. I want to democratize the financial planning space.
Yes,
I want to, lead a revolution in how people experience money and how they experience financial partnerships. Sure. And I went straight into that. And, of course, a lot of the managing partners at the firm were like, well, that's cool, Hayley, knock, knock. But, a lot of the wealth is with heterosexual middle-aged white dudes. And I say, great, they're great. Right. But I want to be able to provide tools to, young women in their 30s that, are making more money than anybody in their family ever made. And they don't have enough. They don't have one or two or $3 million net worth yet, to get into the doors at a firm that's actually going to give them quality, comprehensive advice. And so that's, where it all, and I have the biggest why. And I love, your show is all about purpose driven. I didn't have purpose in my entertainment, sky penthouse. Now it's like I'm driven. And that's why I'm here talking today, to inspire people to love talking about money, to love planning money instead of it feeling so heavy and like, ugh, and avoid it. Like you work so hard to earn money. And so let's spend some time talking about not only saving it, but spending it, to accelerate joy. So like, I'm on fire, girl,
Girl, you are on fire. I love this so much. And I'm going to tell you, as you're talking, I know exactly, believe it or not, at one stint in my life, I tried to get into the financial world. You'd be proud of me. I even passed my 6 and 63 on the first try. I know, but it was just not for me. And what I can say is that I can speak to this. You had a cush thing going, right? You had a cush thing going. Totally. You make this pivot, and that had to be somewhat jarring because I can say firsthand, I know that you have to, like you said, pound the pavement at that point. You're not just like, people come work with me and then people are lining up at your door. It doesn't work like that. It's freaking hard. And the people who actually make it in your industry, very few and far between. Very few and far between. So it takes a lot of grit. And, it's interesting because I think about what that transition must have been like for you. Cush, paid, knew what to expect to, oh shit, this seems kind of fun. But at the same time, I have no idea how I'm going to drum up business. Is this actually going to be a success? That's a roller coaster to ride, my friend.
Yes, it is. And, when I started this career, I had an 18-month-old and then I got pregnant 2 months in. So exactly, like right when you're saying like, I left with no net. I left the entertainment world. I took 8 months off, did yoga, drank rosé on Tuesday morning, tried to like really think and like just believe in myself. But that first year, you're right. I mean, I don't know the stats, but probably 85% of people that try to do what I do fail out within the first 6 to 12 to 18 months. And the reason that they do is the lack of mental fortitude. And I am not, there are many times I broke down crying in grocery stores or on what, it was just, I remember just being, how am I ever going to be strong enough for this? But what happens is I found that why. And I felt like that was such a bullshit term before. Oh, you have your why when you work? Like, like that's not a thing. I have that. And I know
like, I get it.
It's like my calling is to wake people up, around, loving money, embracing money and having fun with their money, so that's how I did it, is just, that's why I'm on this planet. People ask me, why do I do this? It's not for God. It's not for my kids. It's not for my husband. I know anything I'm going to do, I'm going to earn money. I know that. It's to change people's lives.
I love that. You have a passion for your purpose, right? And that is what's going to keep you driving. That's why so many people start businesses, and even ones that end up being, let's call them wildly successful, they peter out because they don't truly feel passionate about it. The money may be coming in, but if you don't love what you're doing, there's going to be a real problem there. I think what, the biggest message about you that I want to make sure people are picking up on here is like, guys, pivoting is okay. Trying something new is okay. Pushing past hard boundaries is okay. You can do hard things, right? All of us with kids, we tell our kids that all the time. But it's true. You can do hard things. You just have to have a belief. You have to have a why. You have to have a grit to stay in the game. But if you do that, all kinds of things can unfold. So, Hayley, for you, like...
And let me just add something other about grit. There's one of my favorite...
Tell me.
Winston Churchill quotes, about the definition of success. And so if you're listeners, you're listening here and you're in the middle of a transition or you're thinking about, following your dreams or opening a business, like it is not easy. But the quote is, success is defined by moving from failure to failure to failure without giving up.
Yeah.
And every moment I'm failing at something. Why? Because I'm out in the world trying something new and I'm being criticized and I'm afraid and, right? But like, celebrate your failures.
Celebrate those failures. You can't grow unless you fail. That's just how you have to get uncomfortable, women. You have to get uncomfortable. So the thing is, for you, like, at at what point did you go from, hey, I really, really believe in this. I really think I can do this. This is my why. What was the defining moment where like the waters parted and everything kind of started to come together?
It was pretty immediate for me, I have to say. I was, I was in this very intuitive place, and I just knew that this combination of, you think, gosh, I've been in a career very successful. I was in my early 30s when I transitioned from entertainment, to the financial services world. And you think, God, this is all I've done. How could I do anything else? But,
right.
I think we underestimate how transferable our skills are, but the fear of like, I'm a master in this and I don't want to become an apprentice in something else.
Mm-hmm.
But I leaned into learning. I got my CFP Series 7, like all within the first, 3 years. And so, but I knew intuitively, God, I took my 7 when I was pregnant. I had to pee like 6 times. And the proctor was like, what is she?
What's she doing in the bathroom? What's she doing? Is that book even real?
I knew right away that I was unique and different, and that people could hear me, in a different way, and that I can hold space for people, especially women with their money. Because when I have a first conversation with somebody, about 20 to 25% of women cry. They show up very kind of, hard, and I don't know, and someone's going to hurt me. I got to protect myself. And then I ask them questions, and they completely change their energy. And that is what I'm addicted to. And that happened very early for me. But now I'm in this phase of scaling that feeling, scaling that emotion, scaling that sense of self. Because once you feel clear and confident in your money story and I define financial freedom at Rippl. Financial freedom is not retirement. We call retirement work optional. Financial freedom is what I look to achieve with my clients in the first 6 months of working together, which is clarity and confidence in your money choices. And once you feel that, I'm telling you, you're trying to attract a partner, you're trying to get pregnant, you're trying to buy a house, you're trying to get the new job, promotion. Once you feel confident in your own space around money, everything flows. I just got goosebumps.
Yeah. Me too. I'm like, dang, your goosebumps are contagious. That is so true. I mean, and it's hard because it's like kind of something, you beat yourself up for. You're like, okay, I know I should be doing something. I just don't know what the steps are. And then you start Googling things, but Google is not the same thing, y'all. I don't even care if you have the best AI ever, which by the way, I'm going to shameless plug for Victor. If anybody hasn't met Victor yet on AI, you need him. He's my main squeeze at this point. But the thing is, you need somebody who's like living proof this works, who has clients who are real. They're not robotic. Hayley has created something amazing, which I really want to kind of transition to that. So you can talk about, obviously we know why you started it. Okay. Yeah. But here you started it. You're like, no, I'm not going to be the norm in this business. I'm not going to go after the middle-aged white dude. I'm going to go after this type of clientele. So tell us, like, as Rippl is being founded, as you're growing into this space, what has that been like for you? It's so exciting.
Well, I mean, let me just say this too, like, one of the patterns and stories that, women in their 30s, would say, which late 20s to kind of early 40s tell themselves is, I don't have enough. Like, when is it the right time to find a financial advisor? Like, I don't have enough, And so I think that was what, Rippl, the reason why I called it Rippl, which is so funny because most firms are very masculine, like Fortify Capital or Grindstone Oak Tree, finance or whatever. And I was like, Rippl. I'm like, I love Rippl, and I'll explain why in a minute. But I'm like, do I need to be Tsunami Capital? Like, I didn't know, so, but Rippl is 2 things. It's like, that one little bit of momentum, that one little drop that creates that ripple effect. And that ripple effect is in terms of wealth, in terms of legacy, in terms of impact, charitable impact, whatever it is. But also, I'm a big mountain girl. Like, I love backpacking. And so the idea of in spring, all the snow is melting and all the tributaries come together, just like life. And then it's a stream and a river, and so, you're flowing through and there's a big boulder and you're like, oh shit, you got to go around the boulder. And like, that's what life is. So that's what Rippl is about, moving through that life with you. But what excites me so much is that, we can serve people at a level where they don't think that they have enough or are enough or are worthy enough to be served.
Wow.
And I think, and that's what makes us unique, is we want to get in before you have 10 million, 5 million, even $1 million, not that we don't work with those that have that, but it's like, how do we set the foundational skills so that you can accelerate the zeros in your net worth? Right.
Oh, yes.
So that's what really excites me is to be able to open people up to the safety and security of a financial partnership and know that they're worthy. And then we just build what we call your financial ecosystem. We build a financial ecosystem and we have all the different buckets of capital doing different things. And you understand it because I speak to you in regular human language. And then as we earn more and have more capacity, we just flow more into those buckets, which then ultimately creates more choices.
Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, yes. All the yes. I love this so much, you guys, because the thing is, I think money is one of those things some of us are really good at. I'm not putting myself in that category, by the way, but I wish I was. But I think some people are just good at it, but I think most of us are not. And so it is something in life. You think about like when you get sick, you go to the doctor, right? You have money. And like she's saying, you don't have to be a gazillionaire. You just need to know what to do and make smart decisions with the money that you do have. And so if that is not something that you grew up knowing, if that's not something you went to school for, why would you not seek out a professional to help guide you to make sure that you're making the best choices? Because Hayley, let's take like a super, let's take a random scenario. Let's say there's client A who has, some money, never does anything with it, right? And then you have client B who thinks, hey, maybe I'll go chat with somebody and see what I can do. Obviously, this is completely hypothetical, but it's like, for client B who's like, hey, let me just take a chance. Let me talk to somebody. Let's see what I can maybe do here. What could be the difference for that person as opposed to client A that never does anything and lets it sit in a traditional bank account?
I think the main barrier is from client A moving to client B is trust, knowing who to go to, knowing who to trust. There's almost too many choices, and and it's your dad who was an art history designer, is now like trading in the stock market and is giving you advice, and which is relevant to you, So, but I think like the difference, there's sort of three destructors of wealth, I would say, and client A is subject to all of them. Client B, if they're partnered with the right advisor, isn't. The first destructor is taxes. And so, we're not just about grow your money and manage a portfolio. We are a holistic, comprehensive financial, partner. So we are the quarterback to everything. And so we think a lot about taxes, not like a CPA does, but more proactive. We're kind of like, I think everybody expects their CPA to have all these amazing ideas that are bespoke to them, but like, that's not what a CPA does. So we're the visionary. So we think, how can we put money in places where not only do we get tax deductions, but we get tax advantaged growth, tax advantaged distributions, all kinds of things there. So taxes. So really being proactive. Most people are not proactive around taxes because they don't know where to start and they're not getting what they think they should get from their CPA, because that's not a CPA's job. They charge $340 and do the same thing for 2,000 people. That's it. Don't expect them to be marvels, right? Number one. Number two, which is very relevant to client A, which is just chilling on their money. The second destructor of wealth is inflation and purchasing power. So, it's so crazy. I have a lot of my clients that are hoarders of cash. They have too much cash and it makes them feel so safe, but it's a shotgun in the foot because, you're losing purchasing power. Chipotle burrito is going to be $25 in 5 years, and so if you're not making your money work for you while you're asleep, you're going to be able to buy half a burrito. Right. And so that purchasing power and destruction of wealth, right? And then number three, and this is the absolute biggest destructor of wealth, is human emotion. Right. So just whatever your limiting belief is, whatever your experiences with money, like a lot of my clients are children of immigrants, and their mindset is don't trust. You got to pick up and run any moment, hold cash, so it's, people make very emotional choices around when to get into the stock market, when to get out of the stock market. And so it's my job to help, my clients make like logical, like mathematical choices with a layer of empathy and listening, because that does matter. Yes. So what we do with client B is we don't just take it's the value. Let me just say this, the value in working with a financial advisor. This is really important to take away, is not just the managing your money.
Yeah.
That's a mistake people think. If you're working with a financial advisor and the only thing they talk about in your strategy sessions is the portfolio performance and like that they're selling this for that.
Yeah.
You're getting ripped off. You need to work with somebody, and the fee that you're paying is for estate planning, cash flow, budgeting, tax management, all of these things that should be a part of the financial partnership. Most people don't have, they don't even know they don't have it.
Right. Gosh, that is so well said. Everybody, I mean, hone in on that. And if there's even a little bit of you that still is having some limiting belief towards like, well, I hear what she's saying and that sounds amazing, but she's not talking to me. Yeah, she is. She's talking to you.
Yeah.
And speaking of talking to you,
Yeah.
Hayley is actually going to offer you, anybody listening to this, a very, very generous offer. Hayley, can you speak to that?
Yeah. So what we do, I'm the CEO and founder. I have a team of 8 amazing humans at Rippl. And we're based out of Los Angeles, but we have clients all over the country. And, we're very word of mouth. And what we do when we're considering, extending an invitation to join the firms, we have a 30-minute, we call it like a chemistry session, where I take that session, no matter who it is, I have that conversation and it's killer value. I ask a bunch of questions, understand what do you know, what do you not know, look at gaps and challenges and give some real, takeaways on what I would do differently or what they should be thinking about. And we typically charge, for that call. But for anyone listening, I would be happy to give that, complimentary. We'll kind of in the show notes, we'll give all the email and stuff, but it's Rippl, Rippl at nm.com, and just mention, Jenny's, podcast and that you heard me here, and we'll get that set up for you. So, and it's no pressure. I just, truly, I just want to, I must reach more people,
Right.
I must, because people are so financially sick. I'm the financial doctor and I know that's my purpose, and it lights me up to be able to turn a light bulb on for any woman. And that's my purpose here.
That is so cool. I really, really am going to make a challenge for everybody listening to this. Okay. Just as much as you would be like, hey, I need a Starbucks, I'm going to go to Starbucks. No, if you need a little financial zhuzh, right? Or you just want to know what to do. She told me before this call, these calls are usually $500. So my question to all of you is, why in the world would you not take this woman, this amazing woman up on this free offer to just get an analysis, learn something more? Even if you learn one thing and walk away, you learned one thing you didn't know already, but maybe it ends up creating this beautiful partnership that truly sets you and your family up for a much better future. Why would you not? I mean, it's kind of one of those things. Why
I don't know why.
Do that?
Well,
Right?
because people are afraid. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough. I'm not ready. It's not the right time. Wait till I get the promotion. Wait till I find a partner. These are all just limiting beliefs,
So what you're saying is there's no good excuse for why someone should wait to chat.
There isn't a good excuse. And like I said, I'm the partner. I have that. There literally is no good excuse. I mean, I'm the senior partner and I have associates. And so, if we end up wanting to explore a partnership, I kind of say, hey, I think this person would be really great for you. Yeah. So don't be intimidated by me, I know I can be a little.
I could talk to you all day, honestly. I really could. Nobody's getting intimidated by Hayley. We're being inspired by Hayley.
Yeah.
She is fantastic, you guys. And look at it. I mean, she's, again, big picture is she's somebody who decided to make a change in her life, even honestly when what she was doing was working. It doesn't always have to be in the gutter to inspire change. You just find something that feels a little more aligned. It's that one conversation you have with somebody where they're like, hey, I think you could be good at this. Or, hey, why don't you try this? But if you never act, you never know. That is so scary, right? So for all of you who are fear-driven, that's way scarier than just taking a little chance and just seeing what could be out there.
And this is the thing I'll add to that, Jenny, is, intuition.
Yes.
Anyone's intuition, but a woman's intuition is so freaking powerful. And we really only listen to it 10% of the time.
Yeah.
And so stop quieting your intuition. I'm trying to increase my intuition, listening by 5% per year. So, but yeah, no, thank you for having me and thank you for all that you do. And I could talk to you all day too. I'm coming up to NorCal.
Perfect. Well, I'll take you backpacking, even though it's really, I'd rather actually drink rosé with you somewhere if that's an option.
We can do both at the same time.
Let's do both. We're going to do it all. Guys, seriously, if this conversation just gave you words for something you've been feeling for years, trust me when I say you're not alone, okay? You're not behind. You just hadn't been handed the right framing yet. Now you have, right? You can find Hayley at rippl.nm.com and on Instagram at Hayley W. Dickson. Again, we will link this in the show notes to make that super easy for you to find. But please go follow her. Send this woman a DM. Tell her this episode landed for you, right? And schedule that appointment. If you're sitting with that quiet little voice that just says, maybe it's time to actually do something with my money, just take this as a sign, okay? Listen to it. The voice is your permission slip today, okay? We're giving you the permission slip. So, Hayley, again, you have been a delight. I love what you do. I love what you've done. Thank you so much for being here on Girl, Why Not You today.
No, thanks, Jenny. And thanks to all the listeners.
Have a beautiful day, everybody. And I can't wait to chat with you next week. If something in this episode made you sit up a little straighter or dream a little bigger, don't ignore it. That's your future nudging you. I'm living proof that you can start messy, start scared, start in the worst timing, and still create something beautiful. Thank you for listening to Girl, Why Not You? Now go take one small step towards the life you've been craving. Hit subscribe, leave a review if you feel called, and share this with someone who's ready for more.